But let's kick off with the fourth quarter numbers. You got to be pleased.
Yeah, look, it's hard not to be pleased. In fact, on several metrics, we did slightly better than we had anticipated. And I think the thing to remember here, Matt, is that a lot of these things that we're doing are first time. It's the first time the company has its own mill. It's the first time the company ever put out guidance. It's the first time we're held accountable to numbers. Let's just talk about our guidance. We outperformed our guidance by 2,000 ounces, coming in at 51,000 ounces. A lot of these metrics that are normal for everyone, where you seem to just go, well, they should be doing it's normal. They're big steps because the company had never done it. Putting together budgets, mill availabilities. Our mill came up significantly by almost 4%. So on metric after metric after metric, all these things together, they pay off. And look, the best report card we have is the gold bars at the end of the stream and the cash in the bank. So nobody can deny cash in the bank and the gold bars in treasury.
But you've always talked about the four areas of business that you would look at. Now, clearly, you got to cut costs. And have you been doing that? I mean, how have you been doing that? What are the things that are working for you on just on that first one?
Yeah, look, and thanks for asking that question, because I'll tell you, what we look at is really, are our efforts working? Are the things we're doing and our plans coming together as anticipated? And in our situation, we were very clear on identifying four main areas that we believed could cut our all-in sustaining costs and get us to that target. We're targeting $1,000 an ounce, which we will get to. So when you think about those four things, one of them was G&A. We realized G&A, where it's at, maybe at about $160 an ounce. There's a lot of room for improvement, and we have been working on that. We've been making some tremendous changes internally. We've reduced the office significantly. That's an area that we've made some huge changes. We talked about people. You can never underestimate the people. So we've repeated some of the metrics, but they're worth mentioning. If you talk about putting the right people in place, when I joined Graham Game, he had 2 new GMs come. We brought in, them guys had a network. They brought in about 87 people. And let me tell you something, how that is impacting us so much today. We talked about how our turnover rate dropped from 87% down to around 16, 18%. But one thing we didn't mention when we were talking about that is the circle, or that network that these guys brought in, most of them were local. Graham was born in Norseman, which is just south of our operations. Those people that followed Graham were around the community. So how does that help us today? We didn't anticipate that before. It was reducing our costs because fly in, fly out. We have a lot less people flying in, flying out. We are able to sustain and keep our operations, our mill running, our doors running, because we don't have such fly in, fly out. And the government are imposing a lot of strict metrics. Look, by having Graham, we've said from day one, putting in the right team matters, and we're seeing it matter so much today. It has helped us. Our productivity rates have increased by 30% in the mine. Our efficiencies in the mill have come up from 93 all the way up to 97%. So when you look every little step matters. These little thing matters, and they add to the bottom line. I couldn't be prouder. Look, we said we'd focus on 2 other areas. So we said G&A, people, top 20 vendors. We have been working long and hard with our top 20 vendors. That is paying off. We're only able to do this because we've turned the ship around. These things are only able to be done because we now have consistent cash flow. We have a balance sheet. We have a strong team. None of these things would have been possible had we not did all the steps and turned this company around. The last thing we said we were going to focus on was royalties. So those were our 4 picks. And what's the best report card? Well, look at what happened with Morgan Stanley. We've taken a royalty that had been in place for almost 20 years, Matt. We've taken a royalty that was 7% down to 2%. What a change. We can't ask for better results. This is phenomenal. We have since unlocked 5, not 1, not 2, 5 new areas. I've never seen something so aggressive and so exciting in such a short time. So when you think of those 4 things, what's the report card? The trend. Look at it. We started here, Matt, first half of the year, over $1,300 an ounce AISC. Our first quarter running the mill, not all alone, we had to do some toll milling Q3. We drop it to $1,183. The second quarter that we have full production on our own, we drop it another $50 an ounce. And look, don't ever underestimate what those bushfires and everything else did. We were doing this while we were dealing with a global catastrophe ahead of this COVID-19. So hats off to the team here. I can't be prouder to serve as CEO of this company. These guys are doing a good job, and it is flowing into our numbers, into our reduction in cost, achieving our production. Today, there's a disconnect in the share price, but not a better buying opportunity you're going to find around anywhere.
Well, that's a very passionate riposte to the 2019 figures. I mean, the 2019 figures. I mean, genuinely, I'm impressed with the turnaround bit. I think, and I've not made a secret of that in the marketplace. I've been telling people that this was phenomenal. What you've done from the base you started with to what you've done is phenomenal. I am interested though, because you got to keep it going. You can't rest on your laurels. Okay, I don't for one second think you will, because if you're as passionate with your staff as you are with this interview, I think that they know what you want out of this, which is to continue driving those costs down. So can I just talk about, so Morgan Stanley, you've talked about, you've identified 5 exploration targets. What does that actually mean? So people watching this and go, well, great, 5 exploration targets, but what is that actually going to convert into in terms of value to them or for you?
So let's break it down, all right? Those 5, let's talk about the geophysics first. So if you look at the history of this asset, our mill, that mill was built for the Trident mine. The Trident deposit is right at the plant. It produced 1 million ounces. And based off memory, somebody would fact check this, but I'm certain it's 9 to 10 grams. Somebody could fact check that for me, but 9 to 10 gram, 1 million ounces. We do, after we renegotiate the Morgan Stanley royalty, we spend approximately $100,000 on geophysics just north of where the plant was built. We discover a brand new trend, 5 kilometers in strike. This is brand new, not one drill hole. This is completely virgin territory, wide open, but you can clearly see it in the geophysics. There's a structure there that resembles why that plant was built. So that's one target, and that's for the future. Now let's bring home some stuff that are even closer to us. We after renegotiating Morgan Stanley, we have some drill holes in Fairplay. We're already mining Fairplay. How does that transfer into our people? When we had the bushfires in December and November, and we were dealing with that, we were very fortunate that our team was proactive getting reagents, and we also had a stockpile. When we bought the plant, there was a stockpile. We burned it up. So what does Fairplay do? It adds another source. We're not reliant on only 2 sources to the plant now. Today, you have Baloo, Fairplay, and Beta Hunt. Those stockpiles that we had to burn up during the fire seasons are being replenished. We're actually building a stockpile today. We have north of 45,000 tons now. That is extremely good considering we don't know the outcome of the future. None of us can predict what's going to happen. We're really pleased that the Australian government have been good about mining, not shutting anything down, but having that stockpile surely will help us to get through anything or overcome some of the things we have to do. So we've got the 5 kilometer strike, new geophysics. We've got Fairplay, bring it home. We're actually mining it in, this royalty has only been less than 3 months and we're already mining in an area. The other 2 are pipelines that will be mined into our mine. They're actually included. We've just built a new mine plan at Higginsville, or Western Australia, the whole district. These assets or projects, Mouse Hollow and Hidden Secret, are now part of our pipeline. And they're actually closer to the plant than Baloo. So very exciting pipeline. And the other one is it's Aquarius. It's an underground target. We announced some of the intercepts, over 600 gram over 200 meters, 250 gram over 1.9 meters. Extremely high grade, narrow vein, exactly what I've done my whole career. How much more exciting can that be for us? This is a pipeline of stuff that we have directly on our back door within a 50-kilometer radius of our mill. And before I step off, there's the paleo channels. I know we didn't talk a lot about it, but those are also an area where we're targeting. So unlocking that royalty removed handcuffs in a district that had been in jail for almost 2 decades.